Movie Wars.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Movie Wars podcast.
Woo!
Woo! I'm Kyle.
I'm Seth.
And introduce yourself.
I'm Evan Berke.
I'm happy. And what a day to be on the Movie Wars podcast.
Yeah.
Talking about literally one of my favorite pieces of IP probably in existence.
I've been waiting for this for so long. I absolutely love these movies. I'd only seen the first one up until this week. And I saw it when I was like 17. My buddy John David, who has introduced me to Brazil and quite a few other very impactful movies in my life, quoted it randomly one day. And I was like, what is that? He's like, you've never... Oh no, we're watching this. And he sat me down and we watched Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and my life was changed after that. It is so good.
Yeah. It's got so many strange elements of being a time travel movie, but a buddy comedy, but it's not a, because the 80s was king for buddy cop films. So the buddy element was very much held in like Beverly Hills Cop and Lethal Weapon, detective films.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we just got this really, and I connected to it because you probably did this too. I'd love to hear your thoughts because I moved here. I was in a band. I moved here for music. And I think anybody that was in a band or had aspirations to be in a band relates so hard to the not actually being able to play yet, but filming yourself playing and pretending to play. Like the fantastical elements of wanting to be a rock star always predate your ability to actually play music. And when you see that, that struck a chord, and when you mentioned it, you wanted to cover these. It instantly hit me because I am a diehard Keanu fan. I've so much of his work, but I forget that really what got me into Keanu was this movie.
Yeah. And
when he texted me that, I instantly read that and I got these butterflies. It's like, oh my God, Bill and Ted. Oh my God, yes, we're gonna do that trilogy.
Hell yeah.
So thanks for suggesting it. Yeah, and but as a band guy and a musician, did you connect with that as well?
Definitely. At the time, I had a little band in high school. Little hard rock / metal band. We were having fun playing shows in Atlanta. Really what I think hit me though, the first time I watched it, and especially this last watch through, first off, when did Wayne's World come out?
Wayne's World came out, I think, in '92, the first one.
Okay, so it came out after this. I was curious because I like this more than Wayne's World, and it makes sense to me now because Wayne's World definitely felt like it was trying to make this, but didn't have the simplicity that this had. The thing I absolutely love about this movie is the fact that you can boil the story simply down to Bill and Ted are failing history and are trying to get their presentation done. Yeah. That's it. That is the entire movie. The fact that it's also a time travel movie, the fact that it's also this stoner comedy, it's just icing on the cake because of how simple the premise was.
But also take it a step further, and it's like, well, they need to pass history because if they don't, then
the world ends.
Then their destiny of creating this song that unites the world can't be realized. So
exactly.
It's very bizarre. I thought it was a movie that like kind of was just the plot itself was a bit complex for.
It gets complex, but that's what I loved is because
the first one is very like just kind of simple.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like rewatching it, I forgot how much depth there was to the characters themselves. Yeah. Because you start off and you just think that they're stupid stoner fuck-ups and they can't do anything. But then you get into it and you realize Bill's dad is a fucking slime ball and divorced his mom so he could marry a 18-year-old. Yeah. How gross. And then you go over to Ted's house and you find out his dad is former military and the police chief and is sitting there trying to basically say, you're not taking anything serious. You're a fuck up. I'm going to send you to military school. And he's like got this internal struggle of like, what does it mean to be a man, but also do the things that I want to do and do the things that I'm passionate about. Right. But it's like, none of this is ever like overtly stated. Everything is just so perfectly dropped in when it needs to be.
And Rufus is the surrogate father. Yeah. Yeah, it's really a movie about father figures as well. And Rufus comes in and he's, he brings the wisdom and experience of time that their fathers don't give them.
He brings the babes back, bro.
And side note, my favorite comedian, my hero, George Carlin, as Rufus is I mean, my absolute favorite comedian of all time. I just love seeing him here.
He's so perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, anytime you watch this movie and George Carlin pops up again, you're like, oh
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, the first one is amazing because they didn't need to make a second one. It could have just ended on the first one.
Yeah.
Could have been
They
awesome.
save the day. Everything's great.
But then the way that they did expand it and really add the complexities and the layers and with the second one, and then they even take it even further in the third one.
Yeah.
It's super cool how the first one stands alone, but then really just sets the foundation for the rest of them.
Absolutely. And we'll definitely get into the sequels in the next episodes, but to touch on that, it's one of the few series I've seen where the sequel held up just as well as the first one did, in my opinion. Like they could have just thrown together and it was the exact same plot. Oh, they gotta pass another test, so they're gonna do another time travel thing. But the fact that each one very much stands uniquely in its storytelling structure, I absolutely love it.
Bogus Journey has a whole different cadence and just like those scenes where they're in hell.
Yeah.
In the second one, you're kind of just like, both movies, like you said, you stated it perfectly, but they both elicit such different feelings.
Yeah.
While also still just being so just like enjoyable.
Yeah.
For very different reasons. But the characters are just so consistent. Which
Absolutely.
Is great.
Love it. You may be time traveling right now. You might be coming back from the Wild West, or
you might be in the quantum realm.
You might be coming from Apocalypto, whenever that was. We want you to send your friends Movie Wars. I don't care if they're cowboys. I don't care if it's Socrates or Socrates or Socrates.
Socrates.
Whoever your friends are.
I love the fact that he says it correctly the first time, and then Keanu corrects him. He's like, oh, yeah, Socrates.
Socrates, yeah. I love it, dude. I know. Socrates totally, such a... Actually, that's a good conversation we can have later. It's just funny. The way these historical figures are voiced is amazing. It's so good. But send your friends Movie Wars. Send them Evan. By the way, his special he referred to earlier, Twice Removed, a fantastic special. You can find it on Spotify, YouTube, right, as well?
YouTube.
You can find it wherever you listen to shit.
I have number 31 of 50 signed by this motherfucker, so come here and listen to it.
Yeah, we got it on CD, vinyl, if you ever want to stop me in the street.
That way, when it hits Netflix, when the Kill Tony thing hits it, you can say, I actually listened to that guy already.
Yeah.
Boom, be cool. The questions. Leave it to the French to make a hat that doesn't block out the sun. Yeah. Right? Napoleon's hat? What the fuck? I know it's not just this movie. That's actually, when you look at his like paintings and stuff, but
I didn't think about that, but that's so true.
It does nothing. It's like it's this way, but there's no.
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, Napoleon really is the star of the first one.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Him at the Ziggy Piggy.
Yes.
Ziggy Piggy.
Yeah. I mean, him at the water park in the big. Even I was watching it with my girlfriend Mary Alice, and she was like, that is a real swimsuit from that time period that he's in. Like the fact that he has that is just so funny. So I think the Napoleon being in San Dimas before all of the other people, it was just so funny. Having to hang out with Deacon.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
My two favorite credits on this whole thing are the Ziggy Piggy guys who are named, I think it's Annoying Waiter and Dumb Waiter.
Oh yeah, dumb, stupid and ugly.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. It's just I love it.
Stupid waiter and ugly waiter.
Yeah, because they're in all three movies. Those are the writers. Yeah, that's Ed Solomon and Chris Mathis. Actually, I have a rando.
That makes so much sense.
I have a rando on that. And every credits for every cameo in all three movies, they're labeled as stupid and ugly.
I love it. Oh my God.
Because in the second one, they're in the seance with Missy. Yeah. So
that makes sense.
Stupid seance guy one and stupid and dumb.
ugly seance.
Those are the two creators and the guys that created Bill and Ted in and they were doing improv class. So 5 years before they made the movie, they were Bill and Ted as these two improv characters.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so it's we can get into that more later, but really interesting. But yeah, and if you watch, so by the way, shout out to Shout Factory who made an incredible trilogy 4K steelbook for this, and I was just I didn't have it. I gave myself 2 weeks to get through. You know how I am with commentaries. There were two commentaries on each. Like I barely had enough time to get through all the material. I'm a nerd.
Granted, this is the first time we'll be shooting 3 episodes in one day. Yes. So we had a lot to get through before today.
Yeah. So I got to get my stamina up. But they have some amazing special features. Speaking of the Napoleon actor, his name is Terry. I want to say this correctly, Camilleri, and he's the most beloved. They still refer to him. Like in the other commentaries on the other movies, they missed him. Like they love working with him. They said he was the best. And his interviews are hilarious. Like he was a great actor. So major kudos to him. But yeah,
his hat though. I love the fact that basically like even if it's raining, it's not going to keep water off your face, but it will drip it to the side of you.
It honestly creates one of those situations like those pop-ups. Pop-up tents when it rains, and then you're walking under it, and out of nowhere, the whole thing flips under. It feels like it's just collecting water, waiting to fall over.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
This is a more interesting question. If you guys got the opportunity, where are you going to go time travel to? Who are you going to meet in history?
Great.
Couple of funny comedians here. Who the hell?
You know, my problem is, I feel like if you go back before 1960, everything is just going to smell so bad, no matter where you are. You go to any city pre-1900, and everything's going to smell like literal shit and nothing but BO. I was watching Mad Men recently. Love that show. But I'm sitting there watching how much they're all just chain smoking cigarettes, and I'm like, and then also drinking heavily on top of that. I'm like, everyone must have smelled
like shit
so bad in the 60s. Like, god damn. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know. I would want to go back too far.
I love this answer
because I would probably get there and just immediately start puking.
Yeah. I was gonna say because I'm a diehard Doors fan, Jim Morrison fan. Hell, can you imagine being in Jim Morrison's green room? That probably smelled like he was notorious for vomiting on people, and like I don't know that like the smells and these people are just fucking deplorable. Like I don't want to meet these people.
Now I will say if there was one musical event I could go back to, I would go see Pink Floyd.
Okay, yeah.
Probably at Pompeii.
Hell yeah.
That would have been insane.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's one, probably the biggest thing I'm very jealous of my uncle of, is the fact that he got to see Pink Floyd 3 times.
You're kidding me.
No. Like he saw them in person 3 times before. Yeah.
Dude.
He told me that and was like, that is
I want to hear
insane.
Stories.
I would love to as well.
Yeah. What about you, Evan?
Oh, this is tough because you really made me think. At first, I'm thinking, God, I want to meet Jesus. But then you're right. Going too far back feels wild. So if we're sticking with the theme of like going back in time, maybe being able to be at like a musical event that maybe we can't be at today, I think I would want to be in Long Beach, California. Early 90s at a Sublime, No Doubt.
Okay.
Just like rager.
Yeah.
In Southern California.
I feel that.
Like I'm a huge Sublime fan.
Yeah.
I mean, that was high school when me and my buddies were like coming up on Bill and Ted. We were like, well, if we want to be like Bill and Ted, what do we got to do? Smoke some weed and listen to Sublime. You know what I'm saying? And just those all those reggae dubs and stuff. And gosh,
I love that.
Yeah, but I think that's what I would want to do. I don't know. I do love Pink Floyd. I did see David Gilmour on his solo tour a couple years before COVID, which was amazing. He still does like high production Pink Floyd stuff.
Oh yeah, I would love to see him and Roger Waters.
I saw the Australian Pink Floyd back in high school, but I think I'm going Sublime.
There you go. Well, I wrote down. Sometimes I just write down the stupid first thing that comes to my mind. I wrote down Vlad the Impaler. I don't know why. But when I watch interpretations like Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula, he lumped together the Vlad the Impaler story. He's just one of the weirdest. Like, there's just not a lot of historical. Like even Napoleon was just Napoleon. He wasn't Napoleon the stabber or Napoleon the eye gouger. Like Vlad was fucking Vlad the Impaler, man. Like I want to go back and be like, dude, why are you impaling everybody, bro? What happened? Like, what's your trauma? Like, what happened to you, bro? Like you read about, I don't know. It's such a stupid answer. I don't want to meet Vlad. I just literally typed it and I said it into the microphone.
I love it.
But no, Jim Morrison. I'm such a diehard Doors fan. But I've read every Jim Morrison biography. I don't want to meet the guy.
Yeah.
He's just maybe Nietzsche. I don't know. Yeah, or Nietzsche. If you go to Stanford.
Maybe even Bob Marley would be a good one too.
Yeah, he'd be cool. And the smell of weed washes out everything.
Yeah, let's smoke some weed with Bob Marley.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going back to do.
I want to stand on the other hill where that other shooter was for JFK.
There you go.
I want to get a picture of that guy. Just be like, I got it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. We end this debate. My God. They released the documents and people are just like, meh.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, they didn't even release all the documents. They released everything people already knew.
Yeah.
And they still have stuff that's like redacted and shit.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Now you got me thinking, like, there's so many people you don't want to meet in history.
Yeah.
You just don't.
Yeah, never want to come across you at all.
When you find out, like, oh shit, Bill Cosby was a fucking piece of shit,
know.
and you're just like, what the fuck? He was America's dad.
I know.
And now he's just out there raping people? Cool, great.
Yeah,
Don't ever meet your heroes, folks.
It's amazing they kept Jell-O all these years after that. Jell-O is still just on the shelves.
He's got the Jell-O in the pudding
I think
box.
we need to. I think Jell-O also needs to, take a back seat to, in society.
Yeah,
right
rebrand.
Yeah.
Jail, no. God, that was bad. Sorry. Rando. I fail myself on a continual basis.
That's life.
Randos. So this originally was the van that's in 2. This was originally centered around a time traveling van, but they thought it was just way too much like Back to the Future.
Yeah.
And so they chose not to do that. They did show it again in the later 2. But the phone booth was there was a trend, I guess, on college universities at the time. Oh, yes, there it is. I guess I don't know. I don't understand this trend, but I guess because this is before cell phones, there were phone booths on university campuses, and there was a trend of people cramming into them and taking pictures of themselves. So yeah, and so phone booths were a thing, and so that's where they got the idea to turn it into a phone booth.
That's cool.
Cool.
Yeah, it would have been interesting with the van. I like that the phone booth adds a lot.
It does.
It adds.
Because you can call. That's super cool.
Yeah.
The van would have been a little lame. Yeah,
totally. It's
too Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, definitely. And Magic School Bus, which I don't know if that was a thing at the time, but like, it wouldn't have fit the vibe because it's not like they're going on tour. Like it'd be different if they were going to different musical eras and were taking gear with them, and like the van was what was getting them there.
Yeah,
but no, the phone booth. It's such an iconic image now. Like, and it's one of those things. It's like, I love that they created their own system of rules as far as like you use the phone numbers to get to different times. But then on top of that, you have Bill and Ted coming up with rules of time travel during the movie that just work. Like they're just like, oh, well, if you remember to do this, then that'll be there. All right. And it's just, it happens.
Yeah.
Like
a couple of dudes. Like a couple of dudes. Like that's like us with our friends.
Yeah.
Like, oh, dude, what if we, it's like, that's me and my friends. Like, what if you use a hammer? Oh shit. Yeah, a hammer. I don't know if I have a hammer. I love it. It's, again, so relatable.
Yeah.
Especially as a musician, but
what are you doing? I'm remembering to do something later, and then the fucking trash can just falls. Like, what?
It's just, it's dude logic.
It's so good.
But you buy in.
Yeah.
You know?
It's so good.
This name, it's so funny. Dino De Laurentiis comes up in my research for so many movies because he ends up like either going bankrupt or buying bankrupt property. So many stories that we've covered on this podcast revolve around his failures.
Yeah.
But he's also one of the kind of like pre-Weinstein, one of the biggest moguls of movie producing. Warner Brothers had rejected this, so they were looking for somebody to pick it up, and Dino De Laurentiis' company picked it up. But he did not understand it, and he admitted, he's like, we'll do it. And the only reason he did it is because his daughter, Raffaella, convinced him to do it. Nice. And he didn't understand it, and he asked her, he's like, what did the dude, he's Italian, right? He's like, what's the word dude? He's like, what is the word, like, why do they keep saying dude? And she said, her explanation to her dad that, she said it means that you're masculine and awesome at what you do. That is how she described the word dude to her dad, who had no idea. He's blindly investing in this property.
I love it. You know, we need more of that. We need more producers, be them independent producers, be them big budget producers, taking a chance.
Yeah.
Like the whole reason that Sean Connery's entire career imploded at the end there was because he didn't understand where movies were going. And then he just blindly picked a franchise to try to get involved with because he didn't understand things. And just was like, whatever, we'll see what happens. But he missed out on being in Star Wars. He missed out in being in Lord of the Rings. He missed out in being in Harry Potter. Like, he missed out on being in the biggest franchises in the world because he didn't understand them. Producers at this point are playing it safe. They're all sitting there just like, we need to do the thing that's going to make the money. why don't you swing for the fences sometime? Seth Rogen was just talking about this with his new show that's been going out. And he's just like, the weird thing about Hollywood is it can literally take one guy who just swings for the fences and changes the entire trajectory of the entire industry. And people aren't doing that anymore. You have Christopher Nolan and Tarantino. And even then Tarantino just threw out his last script because he didn't think it was different enough. So, like, I don't know. We need more of this. We need more projects that people don't understand that are going to make money. Do it, Hollywood.
Well, it's just more about knowing that you can give somebody something they've never seen and they'll like it. You don't always have to go to, we have to. Yeah. I mean, there's too much focus group stuff going on.
Not enough creativity.
Not enough just like, we think this is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. You must have been reading my mind. Next rando. Sean Connery also turned this down.
Oh my God. Yes. Was he going to be Rufus?
That's literally my next rando. Yeah. It was a 42-day shooting schedule, and they got well into it, and they got well into the shooting schedule. I think they were over the halfway mark and still didn't have a Rufus. They hadn't filmed those scenes yet. And Sean Connery turned it down. Charlie Sheen turned it down, but Charlie Sheen, he didn't turn it down because he didn't want to do it. He was just busy, but he actually liked the idea.
Wait, Charlie or Martin Sheen?
Charlie Sheen.
Okay.
That would have been terrible.
That would have been fucking awful.
Yeah, they did have
Martin Sheen.
He's too young for that role.
Well, there was a time where Rufus was going to be a younger person. They didn't originally. The original conception of Rufus wasn't the fatherly figure, and it did morph into that.
He was another bro.
Yeah, it was going to be more of a bro from the past. Yeah, but like you said, totally agree. That would have been fucking awful.
Yeah.
But yeah, they pitched it to Carlin because the director had worked with them on the film Outrageous Fortune. And they often talked about, like, Alex and Keanu were very starstruck by Carlin because this was Pete Carlin.
Oh yeah.
Like,
yes. Oh, like
yeah,
like
89. Absolutely.
Yeah, because he was still really cool then. Because I loved his mid '90s stuff too, but that's when he entered philosophical Carlin, angry as hell Carlin, which was still funny, but mostly philosophical Ayn Rand style rants.
Yeah.
But here, Carlin was considered Pete cool, and apparently, like, Alex and Keanu and Carlin got along like crazy. Like,
amazing.
they loved him, and he was a very.
You can tell though the chemistry comes across so well.
Well, and Carlin seemed like a good, nice guy that liked to hang out. These guys are new in the industry. They're kind of just excited to be here. You can only imagine a guy like, George Carlin feeling like the veteran on the set.
Yeah.
I mean, who was a more accomplished? Were there any other more accomplished entertainers truly involved in that first project?
No.
Yeah, I mean,
when you think about what he had built and earned for himself.
Yeah.
I mean, he was kind of like the as we say in WWE, the wise man of the set, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, we just, some of the B actors, like, Ted's dad is like a veteran, but these are very, very background guys.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
and he's very much a character actor. Like,
Yeah.
he's there's no way he's going to be a leading man.
And Carlin's a rock star.
Yeah,
At this point,
literally.
Like, you're literally a rock star. Like, there's, and even A-list actors and actresses aren't rock stars the way that, like, a comedian that ventures into that and stepping on stage and, rocking crowds is so different. Again, it's a different type of rock star, but he was bringing a whole level of confidence, energy, and just really, like, legitimacy in comedy to the project. So if you're trying to do a comedy, why not have the literal reigning king of comedy involved in the project?
Exactly.
And it was so fun and silly that I almost feel like, do you have any information on how Carlin's fans reacted and responded to him being in this kind of silly movie?
Not the fans, but he the feedback I did see in here was that on the commentary, they talk a lot about how he was very humble on set. Like, even though he was a rock star, he still didn't feel like acting was his thing. Like, he still very much was a stand-up first. So they said he was extremely easy to work with, amicable, humble, took direction, and was just really didn't speak out of turn much, just kind of did what they told him. And when they weren't filming, he was super fun to be around, and they all became friends on set.
That's what I love to hear.
Yeah.
Had Point Break happened yet, or was that the 90s?
Not yet. 92, baby.
Okay. Oh, so it and Bogus Journey came out the same year.
Yep, he had just done that, and he had also
so this
done
really was his first big role.
My Private Idaho kind of was the first dramatic role he done right in this, but that was mostly a River Phoenix film.
Okay.
Let me double check my times on that. But yeah, My Private Idaho and Point Break had happened right going into Bogus. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this really was Keanu's like career defining role before The Matrix happened.
Yep. Idaho was 91. Like I said, that was really, and 91 was Point Break too. So yeah, 91 Point Break and My Private Idaho.
Okay.
So he's ramping.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of crazy to think. I think the only film he had done before this one was the hockey movie with Patrick Swayze.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
How did this do in the box office?
It was a $6 million budget and it made $40 million.
Fuck yeah.
That's pretty good.
It crushed.
Hell
yeah, it crushed. I mean, contextually.
That's good for that's good for a movie that kind of ends up becoming a huge cult classic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of cult classics don't do well in the box office.
And even, I mean, $4 million is still a pretty freaking big budget for that time period, for that level of movie.
They didn't think it was going to get released. Like, they were actually shocked when it came out. Like, Keanu and Alex Winters both talked about, like, they left the last day of filming thinking that's probably never going to come out. they did not. They just
the number of times I've walked off a set and thought that is astonishing.
Yeah, it's like that's never going to see the light of day.
But it's so. Can you imagine going through that whole scene at the end where you do the book report?
Yeah,
it's so over the top. I mean, you literally go through this whole movie and you walk away being like,
no one's gonna put this out.
This was the biggest waste of time we ever could have. Like, can you believe that I was actually thinking about that while watching the third one. I'm like, at some point, these older actors and actresses have to look at what they're wearing, look at what it becomes, and be like, I'm classically trained.
Yeah.
This is pretty silly.
Yeah.
That's the thing, though. Like, I know a lot of classically trained actors who they've done the Shakespeare, they've done the roles at the Gravitas. Sometimes they just want to fuck around.
Yeah.
They just want to get on set and make people laugh and just have a good time. That not everything needs to be this like Shakespearean Lord of the Rings, like this is going to be a groundbreaking film. Sometimes you just want to get out there and do a Bill and Ted or a Dumb and Dumber or something just absolutely ridiculous.
But then you also get those people that just completely sell out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, I'm going to do a
Kevin Hart.
franchise and it's going to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just those classic, you know, not to say some of these bigger roles with a lot of CGI, like, yeah, sure, you know, we need the best actors and actresses if we're going to make billions of dollars.
Yeah.
But it at some point they're like, you know, they even say it in Hollywood. They're like, you got to do one for them and one for you.
Yeah.
Do one for them, then one for you. So that those that you do for them often end up turning into franchises.
Oh, absolutely.
With 6 movies.
I think that's what I respected so much about Christian Bale doing Gore the God Butcher in Thor: Love and Thunder was the fact that he didn't realize the MCU was a thing. He knew Marvel movies existed, obviously, but he was like, I didn't realize they were all interconnected. He's just like, I just wanted to play a villain. And he's like, this sounded cool.
I love that.
And then now he gets to like just pop up in a movie every now and then. If his character's there, it's like becoming a part of a universe.
Exactly.
It feels like the new goal of those classically trained. I mean, even I feel like Tom Hiddleston. I feel like he's relatively classically trained the way that he presents. And I'm like,
absolutely.
You gotta love just being in a universe. Though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be good for the bank.
Him and Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah. Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Last rando, and actually a good segue, the ending scene that you referred to, that originally was going to be done in a classroom setting and not this big. It was going to be like a straight up book report more so. And they actually filmed it and there are photos of it. It's really weird. They're like all scrunched together at the front of a classroom with a chalkboard.
That would be pretty wild, but the way that they did it was more
good.
Was more rock and roll. I mean, you got to have that rock and roll.
Can you imagine shooting that in the classroom, looking at the dailies that night, and then going to the guy with the money and sitting down with him being like, so
here's what we got, and he's
we need to reshoot this, but 10 times bigger.
Yeah.
Can you throw us another $400K?
What made them decide to go bigger with that?
It's a great question. They said it was very stale.
Yeah.
That it was so jam packed that there was no real, like, they couldn't play off each other. You couldn't get a great shot where you saw all the action happening, and they really were just kind of It was just too. It was too stuffy.
Yeah.
Like they couldn't do anything. Like all the wild stuff they do at the end, they couldn't do any of it.
They went back into history and got way too many people.
Yeah, way too much history.
Way too much. They're like, listen, we've already filmed them going back to get all these people. We can't just have them present 5.
Yeah.
You know what would have taken care of that if they would have gotten Vlad the Impaler?
Yeah.
Yeah, could have
Take
just
down some walls, dude.
just cut it down.
They'd gotten Jim Morrison.
Too many people in here. All right, we'll just impale them. Yeah. Shall we hop in the phone booth?
Yeah.
Top in.
Let's hop in the phone booth. Shall we go back to the French? What was that? Which war was that, by the way? Was that the?
I think that was the War of 1812.
Let's go back to the War of 1812. Let's wear hats that don't block out sun.
Yeah. Maybe it wasn't. No, that one's here. That one was here.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let's not get too much into geography.
That's when we bought Louisiana. So.
Are we talking about just like the French Revolution?
Yeah, maybe it was.
But there's so many.
Yeah.
There's so many French revolutions.
Well, it was the one with Napoleon.
Yeah, the Napoleonic
one of
Wars.
his 3.
Yeah.
Let's war.
Let's do it.
Our positive category, yes, we love it, we dug it. Affirmative is be excellent to each other, of course.
Absolutely.
And this is going to be, since we're doing the whole franchise, we're going to use a scorecard across all 3 of them. And negative, no, I didn't dig it. Flunking most heinously.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I love that phrase. Top bill cast. That would be Keanu Reeves, Alex Winter, and George Carlin.
Fucking absolutely be excellent to each other. They created so many like moments with these 3, but especially Keanu and Alex. Just like their chemistry on screen together was so perfect. You bought everything that they said, and I'm sure improving was kind of a thing, but I guarantee you the majority of what was said had already been written down. Like that was the script that they were just beautifully conveying. Obviously, we've been talking about it. George Carlin was just incredible in his very brief role in the series. But yeah, absolutely be excellent to each other. They were all amazing.
Love it.
Yeah, I'm going be excellent to each other for sure. And amazing. The chemistry, as you said. Alex Winter, there was always the talk, he never really broke out the same way that Keanu did. But he's so good in this role.
Yeah.
They are so good as these 2 iconic characters. And really, when you look at him in the third, he actually steals the show in the third. For some reason, Keanu, he's great. And Keanu showing up to be there.
Yeah.
I feel like Keanu brought a bit more in the first 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Alex really brought it in the third.
Yeah.
I think Keanu going off and doing The Matrix and doing John Wick and doing those other things pulled him, just as an audience member, pulled him out of the role enough. But having not seen Alex Winters in anything else, you see him come back and he's still just Bill. He
has amassed so much fame and so many iconic roles by the time he reprises it that it's kind of like all I could say was like, that's Keanu minus the beard.
Yeah.
I was just used to the beard by now.
Well, it's one of those things where you're just like glad he showed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this iconic actor is going back to the silly thing that it's almost like when Ben Affleck goes back into the View Askew world and plays with Kevin Smith and the Jay and Silent Bob people. It's
I love that.
It's like remember your earliest roles and where you came from. You're now an Oscar winner, but you are a part of this universe. Yeah. And so
and he clearly brought it. Like he didn't phone it in. It did
neither of them phoned it in. But
Yeah.
Alex really in this third one had some really great moments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where you're like, I'm so happy to see you.
Yeah.
Like Bill and Ted, the thing that made these movies so effective is you felt like you were the third member of Wild Stallions.
Yeah.
Like you felt like you were the drummer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And these were your boys.
What's interesting in they went for this special trilogy that I bought, they sat down and they did all these commentaries and special features like in one sitting, I think, for all the movies. You can totally tell that Keanu and Alex are close friends.
Nice.
Like to
and
this
remained
day.
close friends over the years for sure.
They've stayed in contact. They've been friends, and so I don't think it was plus everything you hear about Keanu, he's just like the best person.
The best
in the world.
person ever.
So if he wouldn't have done it, it probably wouldn't have been out of malice. It would have been out of scheduling. But like you can just tell, like they've been in touch and they've been friends all these years. They hang out. They both play bass. Like they play bass together.
In a band now, right?
Yeah.
He's like touring.
Yeah, Dogstar. Yeah, that's the band. Yeah, he's been in that band for like since the early '90s. Like
he's been really like doing a lot more with Dogstar.
Absolutely.
Rocking it out. Yeah. Really? That's amazing.
Yeah, they're like a lot more active now.
It is
cool.
crazy that they've stayed friends because you've seen so many of these types of situations where they do the movie and then it gets big and then you have more movies that they're contractually obligated to do and you find out that like the actors hate each other.
And you know, you have that situation where jealousy could have taken over for Alex. You saw Keanu go on to do at least two more franchises that like John Wick and The Matrix. I'm sure there's a third one I'm forgetting about. Hardball should have been a franchise. God, R.I.P.
Point Break should have been a franchise and not a remake.
Yes, I know. You're preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
But no, I do think you know, it I mean, just killer cast. George Carlin in there, and then you know, him being incorporated in the third. The third one really just put a nice bow on it. It really made us all realize why we love these characters and more again the world they created.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting for this category because like I'm taking myself back to 1989. I'm putting on my Dino De Laurentiis hat. Like, what the hell this dude mean? Like, who is Keanu Reeves? Alex Winter, the only real big role he had, it wasn't even a big role. He was one of the vampires in Lost Boys. Another one of my favorite movies, but he wasn't even an important vampire in that one. He didn't say, I think he said 2 words in that movie.
Yeah.
He's just the blonde vampire. And like,
his fangs were still coming in.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. And and then it's like, but George Carlin, it's like, what are we putting together here? So on paper at the time, I can't imagine just like, what are we doing? Like even 6 million feels like a lot for this right now. But it comes together marvelously, and it's interesting having not watched it, having been obsessed with it as a kid. I actually had the toy phone booth.
Oh, nice.
I had action figures. I had the Bill and Ted action figures. It had a Rufus, a phone booth. It was amazing. But hopping back into it, I was wondering how it would feel, and it felt just as good, if not better. Like the nostalgia was really great. It felt really great going down. So it was flawless. I give this a big be excellent to each other. 1-0. We are traveling through time. Here we go. Supporting cast, which is really tough to go through because there's a lot of folks in here. We'll start with Terry Camilleri, who played Napoleon. Dan Shore, who was Billy the Kid, who really features on the commentary and stuff, or on the special features a lot. He talked a lot about this. Socrates, Tony Steedman. Rod Loomis as Freud, who was a classical actor. Nice. The biggest one here, though, is A.J. Leong, who played Genghis Khan, who was actually a beloved martial arts actor. So
that's cool.
He's done a ton of. We just covered the Kill Bill series. I think he's in a few of those movies.
Yeah,
a lot of martial arts.
I just had someone message me today, and they were just like, "Thank you for doing these episodes, so I don't have to watch these stupid fucking movies."
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
That's straight out to you, Matt Blevins. You should go find this guy and yell at him like you yelled at me.
And then I'll give a shout out to Hal Landon Jr. as Captain Logan because I just like him in these movies.
Yeah, fair.
What do y'all think?
He's great.
Yeah, he is.
Everyone fucking see. Again, we've covered enough good and bad movies that it's so easy to see when no one's invested. Everyone's just there for the paycheck. Clearly, whether or not they were able to read the whole script or whatever, when you sat these actors down and said you were going to play quote unquote historically accurate versions of these characters dropped into a modern world,
modern San Dimas.
Yeah.
Go for it. They all were clearly like, "Oh, I'm in. This sounds awesome." And you can tell with especially Napoleon, but even the guy who played Beethoven, Billy the Kid, Joan of Arc, like every single one of these actors was like, fuck it, let's go. We're all in. So it's be excellent for me. They were all amazing.
Yeah, for the first one, it's be excellent to each other. I mean, just going back to it, I think that's what makes the first one so pleasant to go back and revisit, is you're like, oh yeah, Socrates is so funny in this.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, Billy the Kid. Oh yeah, when they're at the mall.
All we are
and they're all just going off doing their own thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you're like, you forget that you're like, I love these people the same way Bill and Ted grow to love them throughout the journey.
Yeah.
And grow to be caretakers for them. You begin to have that same like, we're on a field trip and these are my students. Like they're just so endearing across the board. So yeah, I mean, going back, I was almost reminded where I'm like, yeah, like I love these characters as much as I love Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
So be excellent to each other for sure. I mean, and I don't know who the other options might have been at the time. but just the level of commitment was,
it came together so well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to go on something you said earlier. Like, one thing that's interesting is, like, we can get really indulgent about how we analyze performances in acting. But one thing that I am learning through studying all these movies is that, like, there is this weird component of, like, especially in a movie like this, that's an indie film, it's a big risk, no one knows what it is, like, just having a good time making the movie.
Yeah.
And you can just even tell in the commentary, every one of these actors playing these historical figures had a blast.
Hell yeah.
And they love it. And it wasn't star power, because Keanu wasn't a star.
Yeah.
And Alex Winter wasn't a star yet. George Carlin was the only star, and he's just hanging out.
And he probably wasn't cast by that point.
Yeah. Because they
didn't know he was going to be in it.
A lot of these scenes were made by then.
Yeah.
Yes. And so, but they're obviously having a good time. And what's interesting to me is that every one of these actors, I think the ones that are still alive, I think some have passed, but the ones that are still alive that did these interviews, like, they look back on this so fondly.
Yeah.
And they were sad they didn't get to do a second one. Like, they all felt like there was a lot of fun. They have a lot of great memories. Also, the biggest thing was that they talk about was when they wrote these characters, they wanted them to act like Bill and Ted. Not completely, but they all wanted them to speak and act like they're like in Bill and Ted's world. Because I think they do it masterfully, because you kind of forget for a second, well, Napoleon was kind of a vicious conqueror, Genghis Khan, holy shit. Freud, mom's, your mom, you're obsessed with your mom and your penis. It's like Abraham Lincoln's head's going to get blown off. Socrates is going to drink hemlock. It's like, so there's some horrible shit coming towards some of these people, but you're totally taken out of all that. And you're like, these are our dudes.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, you buy into it, and they play it masterfully. And so be excellent to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely
100%.
it definitely just felt like people making, like, a bunch of friends making a film together, throwing around ideas. Like, if Genghis Khan went to the mall, what would he be doing? Smashing mannequins.
Yeah.
It almost felt like in the moment they were at the mall being like, oh, we need to, like, this is what you'd be doing. This is what you'd be doing. And I'm sure these things were written out and well thought out.
Yeah.
But again, when they got there, it just felt like they all were like, this is going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
And you can just definitely pick up on that.
That reminds me of, I didn't write this down as a rando, but AJ Leong, that song or that scene in the mall, he does all those stunts, like the trampoline flip and shit.
Oh, yeah.
And landing on the skateboard. He did that. And that thing he used was, they were originally just using kind of a stick, like, for him to do all the stuff where he's doing all the moves and beating up things.
Yeah.
No, this is later. This is actually during the last scene when he does the blade.
Oh, yeah,
That's his own personal thing. They had originally they were doing a stick and nunchucks, and he's like, this is lame. He was like, I got something better at home. It's because he's this martial arts legend. It's called a kwando.
Yep.
And he's like, can I fly back to LA and get my kwando? And so he went back, and all that shit he's doing, that's a real blade. That's
Amazing.
a real everything. And he's doing it because he's this legend. But yeah,
I love it.
So he like, all the stuff about his performance here blew me away. Like, he's doing all the cool stuff. God, I love it when I get special features and trilogies. I just nerd out. Writing, Chris Matheson and Ed Solomon, and like I said earlier, these were characters they wrote and created in improv class in 1985. And
so, I think this is an appropriate time to discuss the one thing that did not age so well in these movies, and that is the use of the word fag. I understand contextually it was never meant with malice.
Right.
It was definitely meant in modern times. It would be like a no homo or, oh, that's gay, bro. But, like, obviously you're just poking fun. You're not... No one was trying to put anyone down. Obviously, the word itself just hasn't aged well, but it has. Tony Hinchcliffe is bringing it back, so we'll see what happens. But.
People are definitely trying to revive it.
Well, and I think each movie, at least the first two, it's only said once. Is that right?
No, it's said a couple of times.
Is it?
One.
Okay.
I think twice in each.
Yeah.
Is it? Okay, yeah, that's.
But again, it's never meant with malice. They're never saying it as an insult. It's always a joke where they're like, they hug for too long, and then they're like, oh, that's gay, fag. Like,
yeah, it's the same way you would call someone like call your friend a loser.
Yeah. Exactly.
But again, at that time, this word was being thrown around in all different kinds of ways.
Context, you look at it within the context of the time. So that being the one thing that didn't age well, this script is fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
It is so... Again, we were talking about this at the beginning, but like the plot line, the storyline is so simple, and they hit every beat so beautifully to add the depth that they needed to each of the characters, be them the historical figures or Bill and Ted or Bill's dad and Missy. Like they really worked so well to make sure that it all came across, and they perfectly captured the stoner language
Yeah.
of the time. The fact that they all want to use the bigger words, but they don't totally fit in what they're trying to say, or there's too much. But it's absolutely perfect. So yeah, for me, it's definitely be excellent to each other.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Be excellent to each other.
Yeah.
All the way.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And a little side note, the Ed Solomon and Chris Matheson, like we said earlier, are also the ugly waiter and the stupid waiter who can serve ice cream to Napoleon. You can tell they love these characters. And my big takeaway from just all the materials and watching these 3 movies back to back is that they're written as guys that on the outset you just think are dumb.
Yeah.
But you zoom in, they're not dumb.
Yeah.
And they're not going to fail this history. And another reason I related to it, I was horrible in school.
Yeah.
I don't feel like a dumb person. I'm just dumb at school.
Yeah.
But like their language, and like you instantly buy into this language that they have, the dudes and the triumphant and heinous, like they're using these big words.
Yeah.
I think they're written so well, and you just kind of buy into it.
Yeah.
It's just a world that you want to be in. And I love that Ed and Chris created it. And I love that they were Bill and Ted. An improv class, you know, it's just this story, and now they have the new one, and it's just like this story has lived so long, and it started an improv class.
Yeah,
so I love stuff like that.
It's about just like, you know, again, I love the whole Jay and Silent Bob, just kind of like the whole heterosexual life mate, type of vibe, and it just these movies.
I can't wait to talk about that in the third one.
These movies just feel like these guys love each other. These characters are probably an extension of them. You know, these characters are probably an extension of themselves. And they're like, let's just write about 2 guys that are totally triumphant all the time and love each other and believe in each other, but often have to remind each other how much they love each other and how triumphant they are. It's
so good.
Yeah. I love it. All right, it is 3-0 directing Stephen Herrick. And I think Stephen had directed, was it Stephen who directed or the producer? Critters. I'm trying to remember if he did Critters.
I don't know.
He didn't have a lot of credits. No, it must have been the producer. The producer had done Critters. But yeah, Stephen Herrick, who really wasn't, he was a TV guy.
I was going to say, has he done much since? Like,
not really, no. He was a TV guy. And
did he do the second one?
Oh, no, he did Mr. Holland's Opus.
Oh,
he did do Critters. No, I looked at the wrong part. Stephen Herrick did Critters.
Okay.
Mr. Holland's Opus and The Three Musketeers, the 1993 one.
The Charlie Sheen one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
okay.
so actually I was wrong about that. Yeah, he's done a few things.
Interesting. I mean, he killed it on this. I think it's so important, especially if you're not going to write the script as a director, that you just get the project. And clearly, even though the producer didn't get it, he got it. He, as a director, understood the assignment and just went headfirst into everything.
Yeah.
So it's definitely be excellent for me.
Yeah, I'm going be excellent too, especially when you think about, you know, you've got these new guys. You got a lot of money on the script. You got 2 lead guys that no one really knows.
Yeah.
And it's your job as the director to bring the best out in them.
Yeah.
Basically teach them to be leaders on set alongside with, you know, George Carlin. So you don't get that without really strong directing.
Yeah.
And you don't get Keanu and Alex being really a joy to work with as new guys, and without a director that's really reminding them, hey, I know y'all think this isn't gonna, you know, if your main actors are walking away being like, I don't think this is ever gonna see the light of day. You need the director to be like, that's how every actor feels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still show up.
Yeah.
We're making something silly. People are gonna like it. And so I think, you know, whether we're talking about the actual directing of the film or just how people on this crew may have been managed to get the best performances, I think, from what I can tell, be excellent to each other.
Yeah.
I love that. I love everything you said. I can't really add much more other than, you know, this doesn't happen all the time in film, but there are movies that are made where the writers are more involved.
Yeah.
A lot of times they write it, send it in, and they do script polishing on set. That happens, or they'll outsource it, like on Crimson Tide when they send it over to Tarantino and he fix it up. But there are times, and it's usually more indie films, where the writers are actively involved in making the movie too. And because it was such a passion project for that, I admire the director for Steven for seeing that this was a passion project for these two guys, letting their voice be heard, letting them help coach on that area. And sometimes that's a disaster where you have too many people. But here, I think it worked out wonderfully. I think he stood out of the way. And obviously, he went on to make a couple of great... Mr. Holland's Opus is a celebrated film.
Yeah.
So I give it a total be excellent to each other.
Hell yeah.
And I also love... I just love that he just... I don't know. There's a weird... One thing that you can just give credit to the director for is there's a weird coolness vibe flow that just flows. It's very subtle.
Yeah.
No one here is trying too hard to be cool. But there's a weird, I don't know if you guys know what I'm saying, but like there's a stream of just coolness that just kind of goes through the whole movie.
Yeah.
And it's just so it's subtext. It's great. And it's not on the nose and it's wonderful. I love it. So, yes, we are 5-0. What's in front of us? Cinematography.
4-0.
4-0. God, my math lately. He always keeps my math in check. 4-0. What's in front of us? Cinematography, production, design, sound, costumes.
Yeah.
Huge here. Editing.
Costumes are epic.
Yeah, they're so epic.
Yeah.
For being so early in the computer animation time period. So good.
Yeah, really good, right?
Never, obviously, it feels kind of dated, but it doesn't feel poorly aged.
Yeah.
Like you watch the first Mummy movie, it's still fun. But god damn, none of that animation aged in any way well. It all looks like dog shit.
Yeah.
The animation in this, anytime they needed to, especially in the time realm where they're floating around, looked great.
Yeah.
The costumes were fucking perfect. Some of the most iconic, just like streetwear costumes I've ever seen.
Yeah.
On top of Genghis Khan, Napoleon, Joan of Arc, like all these historical figures. Everything was so good. The set design, whoever was in charge of making everything feel lived in did such a good job. The editing was absolutely flawless. The cinematography was simple but effective. Never once did I feel like it was trying to do too much, or did I ever feel like it wasn't doing enough. Like it all just hit so well. So yeah, be excellent for me.
The freaking swimsuit, dude.
So good.
The Napoleon swimsuit. Oh my god, amazing.
Oh my god, I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going be excellent to each other because I am trying to look at this from like, I do have a hard time going back and watching some movies from the 80s and early 90s because they just don't age well.
Yeah.
From the way that it was shot, the production, special effects, things like that. So I am trying to decipher, is it like, do I love this movie and so I'm willing to like let some things pass?
Yeah.
Or is it like to what Seth was saying? And I do think it's what Seth was saying. Like I was rewatching this and I'm like, these are great shots.
Yeah.
When they are in the like time realm, it's the perfect level of like cartoony type of like, we know what we're doing. We're not actually trying to make this look like what it is.
Yeah.
We're just giving you like a version.
Yeah.
And then if you look at how, in the third one, it's almost like the way they did it in the third one when they're time traveling. It honestly feels like that could have been made in the early.
Yeah.
Like they
but not in a bad way.
But not in a bad way. In a very like, this is still very accessible. Yeah. Because sometimes you watch stuff from the 70s and 80s and you're just kind of like, and even the early 90s where you're just like, wow.
Yeah.
Maybe then I believed it because, wow, movie magic. But now I'm like, that was bad.
Yeah.
But this wasn't that. I mean, even when the, phone booth comes down and you got the little,
yes.
I mean, the electricity's still going.
Yes.
It's all again still very just like a part of the world when when you're not trying to actually recreate what the future might be like and just create things that are a part of this world and universe. You have so much more freedom and leeway to kind of just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Right.
When you're like, these are the laws that govern this universe. The laws that govern our universe in real life are not the same laws. So we're looking a little, it can look however we want it to look.
Yeah, I love that, dude. Everything you said was great. I totally mimic that idea of going back because I'm the old guy. Like I always make old guy observations on this podcast because I only love the shit I grew up with. So I'm constantly on this podcast trying to be aware of my nostalgia. Be like, how much like we were doing this with Blevins on Kill Bill.
Yeah.
It's like how much of this is nostalgia and how much of this is real. And so I was wondering, I'm like, I'm really thoroughly loving this visually. So we've already talked about all the other elements, but I was like, so I was thinking to myself, well, what's another movie in the 80s I could think about with these special effects? It's like these just look really great for 1989. I was like, you could stack this up against Terminator, 84,
easily,
and say, I mean, again, it's 84 and 89. A lot happened, but like I think most people look back nostalgia-wise and think Terminator was this fucking just gorgeous. The effects, as great as they are, and they're still fun, were clunky as hell.
They were clunky, and they were purposefully kept very low scale.
Yes, they were, because they were miniatures and things like that. Dude, like you wouldn't think it you wouldn't think it at a conscious level that maybe Bill and Ted's effects are better than a Cameron film, but these crushed Terminator, and I'm a diehard Terminator fan. I was thinking, God, this crushes anything, and maybe anything that came out for the next few years from a special effects perspective. Just absolutely great. And the only other thing I say is just like the exclamation point on this is, I'm Googling where can I get a Wild Stallions t-shirt like what I want. If you can help me. Bill's specific, the white one with the shoulder. I want that. Where can I get one? So that's to me, I don't leave a lot of movies thinking I got to get that. So
they need to be selling Bill and Ted Wild Stallions.
Yes,
they're missing out if they don't have a store. Website in a store.
Help me find it, crew. So be excellent to each other. We are just cruising along here. Party on, dude. That's actually Wayne's World, isn't it?
No, it's this.
Did they say
Party on? Dude.
Did they say Party on in Wayne's World too? Though?
No, I don't think. I mean, they might, but I don't. I've only seen it once, and I wasn't very impressed.
Every time they meet with like the future
overlords to each other. Party on, dudes.
Yeah.
So these are the bro categories that are going to be on all of these episodes. The first one is Just Duo It.
Okay.
And this is, you talked about Jay and Silent Bob. This kicked off a very interesting era of buddy comedies, buddy movies. The Jay and Silent Bobs,
Harold and Kumar,
Wayne's World. There's all these, and it really is an interesting little subset of films in and of itself. But how does this stack rank? Because I'll tell you, Kevin Smith thinks that there's nothing better. He said,
I agree.
Than Bill and Ted.
Yeah, he said he actually did a Comic-Con during COVID after the new one came out, and he was like, he had tears in his eyes because he was just like, there is no Jay and Silent Bob if there is no Bill and Ted.
There's no Jay and Silent Bob. There's obviously no Wayne's World. There's no Pineapple Express. Without this movie, like that, I haven't seen Zoolander, but I know it's kind of also like a buddy rival comedy situation. So it's like you don't have. This somehow created a genre. Even though the genre of buddy action, buddy cop films existed, this created its own entire subculture of films. And like I 100% agree with Kevin Smith. None of the other ones exist without this. If this one had not been successful, you wouldn't have anything else. So it's absolutely be excellent for me.
Love it.
Yeah, this was a stoner movie without the weed.
Yeah.
It was PG.
Yeah, a PG stoner film.
Which is pretty cool.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It goes back to this idea that you don't need drugs, you don't need sex, you don't need all these things. Sometimes you just need, like you said, a simple plot.
Yeah.
Bill and Ted need to pass history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're going to go back in time, kidnap the most important historical figures, and bring them to modern day San Dimas.
Yeah.
You don't need guns, crime, so it's be excellent to each other across the board.
Yeah, beautifully said, man. Yeah, I love Jay and Silent Bob, but it definitely is the other version of this, the much more crass. I mean, again, I love Chasing Amy is one of my favorite movies. I love that movie. You're talking about Ben Affleck going back to that universe. That's such a great Ben Affleck movie. But yeah, I agree, and I just think it just is so simple too. There's nothing. It is the history class. It is just this simple concept, and I actually think this is where Keanu's personality actually benefits him on screen, because he's one of my favorite actors of all time. I know his range. It's not like I'm not stupid. It's just like Arnold is my favorite actor of all time, not because he's Shakespearean, because he's Arnold. I know he's not Daniel Day-Lewis. Who gives a shit? I'm that way with Keanu too. But here, his personality really shines through in the way that, and these guys, like you watch them talk off screen on the commentaries and stuff, and the special features. It kind of feels like you're seeing Bill and Ted talk. Yeah. They're not, it's like they really were kind of themselves here too in some ways. So I think that's really cool. And I love the simplicity of the story. And I think it really, you can't argue against the fact that this set off a new vibe, like a new thing. So
absolutely.
I love it. Be excellent to each other. 6-0. We are just phone boothing here. Yes.
Phone boothing it in.
Phone boothing it here. This category is called Back to the Future.
Yeah.
This is also a time travel movie.
Yeah.
And if without a few changes, this might have been called a copy of Back to the Future, but they tweaked it. What do we think about this as a time travel movie?
Like I was saying earlier, a lot of other time travel movies, I feel like, get too deep in the science and trying to explain the science of time travel. This one, like I said, they're literally just making up their own rules as they go.
Yes.
And they work.
Literally.
Again, my favorite moment of that is literally just standing in the police station and Keanu closes his eyes and Alex is like, bro, what are you doing, dude? He's like, remembering to do something before, and then it just happens.
Yes.
Like, it's just, you don't get that from any other time travel thing. And I love time travel movies. Sure, Back to the Future is all right. It's not my favorite time travel situation. I think the first one is quite good. The third one is fun. That's the one that I mostly watched growing up. Just weird things. My parents, for whatever reason, that's the one that they were like, yeah, this is fine. I guess there was no attempting to fuck your mother in that one. So that one they were cool with. But I don't know. It never resonated with me in the same way this did. This would probably be, for me, top 3 time travel movies ever made.
Yeah.
Right up there with Primer and Looper. So
yeah,
Looper's
good.
Oh my God, it's so. I have the screenplay over there.
Nice.
It's definitely be excellent for me because this, it shouldn't be a time travel movie that works, but it does.
Yeah, love it.
I haven't seen a lot of time travel movies, so I don't totally know. I did see what was Nolan's Tenet,
yeah,
and I didn't get it.
We covered that one.
I mean, I tried. I took my mom. I was like, "This is going to be a good movie," and she was mad at the end. She was like, "That was so weird." To be honest, I haven't really seen Back to the Future in a very long time.
Yeah.
Haven't seen Looper. I think the trilogy ends up being a time travel trilogy. So we'll say be excellent to each other for the trilogy, because in the third one, you start to see how you're messing up and things are being placed in where they shouldn't be because of time travel. So the laws of time travel and them seeing each other in the future. But if we're just talking about the first one, to me, it's not a time travel movie.
Okay.
It's just like a kind of that to me. There's no talking about the laws of time travel, potentially the universal principles around it. If anything, like you said, it's just we're making up rules as we go. And I like when we're talking about stuff like this, if we really want to call it a time travel movie, I'm looking for something more like the movie Arrival with Amy Adams, the alien movie, if you've seen that, where like there's time travel, but it's discussed in a very like philosophical, like what if it actually was real and you could do it type of way. Yeah. For it to qualify as a time travel movie, for me, I think it needs to hit that mark. But this is a fun time travel movie where it's easy to tap into and it's not Tenet.
Yeah.
You know?
I love that. Yeah.
Because Tenet gets too into the weeds about the laws of time travel. And whereas this is just like, no, you just dial a number and you go back in time. And well, what if this?
Yeah. Antenna's broken. You got any gum? Okay.
Right. Yeah. You know? So I don't know. I think I actually need to give it a, failing most heinously.
You're gonna
for being a time travel movie, just because to me it's not that.
Okay.
To me that's not what it's really going for.
Sure. Okay.
What about you? What do you think?
I dig it, dude. I dig everything you said, and I definitely could see that perspective for sure. I do actually give it the be excellent to each other here, because this was actually one of the areas I was most concerned, because we have talked about Tenet, and we talked about Tenet ad nauseum on this thing. We dissected the shit out of it. and
that was a great episode.
And then we have Interstellar, which is this other version of that for Nolan. Like there's just been a lot, like kind of the stuff you described. There's been a lot done in this area since this movie came out. And I was like, I didn't really remember how they kind of tackled it. And like you said, they didn't really tackle it at all. They kind of just do it. But I found it refreshing for some reason again. And I think that's the thing I keep going back to in all these categories is for whatever reason, I'm usually a hyper skeptical person and try to pick shit apart. But here I'm just like, all right, I'm in.
Yeah.
Time travel? Sure. Fix the broken antenna with gum? Sure. It's just like, bring them all back. Why not? I'm just bought in. So for that, for that reason, I do give it a B excellent to each other. Kind of wild.
Yeah.
Wild stallions.
7-0.
Wow. I didn't know what to expect here, but man.
Clean sweep.
What a fun movie to go back into.
Yeah.
So make sure we're going to do the Bogus Adventure next. Make sure you watch
Bogus Journey.
God, Bogus Journey, man. I doing 3 movies in one day is tripping me up. We've never done 3 episodes ever in one day. But make sure before you watch the next one that you go check out his special so you have a little context here. It's Evan Berke's Twice Removed. You can watch it on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you listen to stuff.
Yeah.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Seth.
I'm Evan Berke.
Be excellent to each other.
Woo! Yeehaw.
The movie wars.